There we go. The Zoom lady has given us the notification, so we're on our way. Thanks, Olaf. Thank you
Awesome.
for joining me this evening. Well, probably different time over there. I know you've done a whole slew of interviews and things are sounding pretty busy. Lots going on in the enforcer camp. So thanks for joining the Inner Strength Check podcast for a chat. And yeah, we'll start off with just wanting to see how things are going in the enforcer camp lately.
Thank you for having me. No, I mean, it's been going pretty well.
Mm,
I don't know if it's in the if it's something that what phase we're in with the band, but we've been doing quite well, on like playing live, and
mm.
that's the thing that we've been focusing on really for the past 2 years now. So it's been going really well. I think we've been doing lots of solid shows, lots of solid touring, So that's
Mm.
it's. I'm super excited to finally take this road show to Australia.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And you guys have been busy on the touring circuit. I mean, even just cursory glance at your Facebook profile for people who are uninitiated, you've got a whole range of tour dates there in Europe. And obviously, you've
Yeah,
made your debut tour announcement, which, by the way, is just the hype train is well on it on the track at the moment over here in Australia.
that
Yeah.
sounds that sounds like a good thing. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. So how have your recent shows
a lot
been?
of no, the shows this year has been pretty great. We haven't done any touring this year except for like a Swedish tour.
Mm,
So most shows have been one-offs, but it's been going really well. We've been doing festivals, we've been doing like one-off shows and going in and out places around Europe mostly.
yep.
So it's been a good year, I think. Yeah.
Fantastic. Any kind of key highlights for you from in terms of particular shows that have stood out this year?
I think we did a Swedish tour this year, and like the stakes were pretty high because
Mm,
we normally haven't played Sweden a lot because Sweden doesn't have like a heavy metal scene the same
mm,
way that they have in other European countries and or in the US or in South America either.
mm,
So that was like a huge chance for us to play in Sweden because
mm.
you gotta know that every time you do a headline show or a headline tour with your band, you're doing it more or less with your career at stake.
Yeah.
Because what's gonna happen is if you do a successful tour, everybody's gonna book you. If you do an unsuccessful tour, nobody's gonna like you're pretty much dead because nobody's wanting to book you if you do an unsuccessful couple of dates.
Mm,
So it's always like a lot of things at stake when you do headline touring with your brand, And but it went really well, and I'm super excited to see so many fans in our home country because we
mm,
thought this was more or less completely dead here,
mm.
but it turned out to be great, and it kind of made me regret refusing so many doing so like shows in Sweden for years and years.
Mm,
So now it's been that was like one of the highlights, just seeing how many people we could pull in our own country.
mm. That's great. And I think obvious I think stereotypes and archetypes when people think of Swedish metal, they're probably leaning towards the Gothenburg scene, In Flames, and things like Opeth, that sort of thing. And traditional heavy metal isn't really something that comes to mind for people with as a standout genre in the
Oh,
scene.
I mean, we have a great history of true metal.
Mm,
Like we have like bands like Janaquist, Mindless Sinner, Heavy Load. Then Yngwie Malmsteen and Europe both are like in that territory.
mm,
Um, and Candlemass. So we have a lot of
mm,
like true metal bands coming out of Sweden. And also like yeah, so we have a great tradition of real metal also, not
mm,
only that what you're referring to.
mm,
Um, so I think that's we are like a natural extension of that and just like
mm.
picking up where it left off, I think.
Absolutely. And you guys have been around. I mean, initially you kind of started a bit more of a one-man sort of deal, and you kind of came out around the time that where there's a lot of talk and discourse around NWOTHM, new wave of traditional heavy metal. Whereas
Yeah.
when you guys were on the outset, it was more about the new wave of American heavy metal, and it was a very metalcore heavy scene. What was the experience like for you starting out in that kind of environment, just in the industry?
I think we started out like as a counter reaction to to everything what was going on in the mid
Mm,
2000s. I mean, what was popular back then was like that. I think that the metal scene at that time had gone completely towards a direction where I couldn't stand it. It was like, you know, you know, going to shows in the mid 2000s was like, even the big artists had like baggy pants and tried to be, hip hop or something. They looked hip
mm,
hop, and it was like so much confusion. Like from the 90s going into the 2000s, nobody really knew what they were doing.
mm, mm.
Death metal had gone completely ridiculous, and black metal was just like a fucking circus show, so far away from the roots. So I think
Yeah.
we were among the first bands that were really taking music back to the true roots.
Mm,
Uh, and it started a bit with bands like Toxic Holocaust, Municipal Waste, and some of
yeah.
those bands taking thrash back to where it should be instead of I went out to see I think I saw Exodus in 2002, and it was like they were all dressing like hip hop bands, and if you listen to their albums from the 2000s, it sounds like metalcore more or less, so
Mm,
there was very very weird environment to grow up in. But I think like those bands that I mentioned, plus us, plus a few other bands, of our generation, started to take metal back to where it should be,
mm,
and like those guys took thrash back to where it should be. We took heavy metal back to where it should be, and then we had like a lot of like old school death metal taking death metal where it should be, and old school black metal stuff like that really took back things back to where they belong, separated all the like bullshit from the music and just playing it real. I think that
mm,
was like the big thing, the big movement of our generation,
mm,
you know.
So kind of the retro thrash, a lot of sort
Yeah,
of
yeah,
bands
well,
from.
you can call it retro thrash. I call it thrash because what the thrash bands were doing in the late 90s, early 2000s surely was not thrash.
Mm, mm,
Yeah.
mm. So basically, what are your sort of opinions on the difference between now and then? Because I feel like the general appeal for like traditional true metal, heavy metal, classic metal, it's really starting to make a comeback.
Well, I mean, we maybe in Australia, I mean, this has been a thing. We've been doing this for 20 years. We've been taking it all over the planet.
Mm,
And I could totally see that we're making it come back. And even like the old bands have starting to realize what they're good at. I mean,
mm,
the old bands are starting to make way better albums than what they did in the 90s again, and I think that our generation is a bit too responsible for also leading them into the right direction again.
Okay, so do you feel like there's a general appetite within the metal scene to go back to its roots across the board?
I think that the metal scene, if you compare the metal scene today, compared to when I grew up in the 90s, it's gone like separate ways really so much.
Mm,
There's still a huge mainstream scene for poser metal, and there's also, but there's still like and the way we are taking, where we're taking stuff back to the roots, has been like growing and growing and growing. It's still
mm,
kind of an underground movement, but this underground movement has been taken also to the big stages of the world.
Awesome. And it's something that I hope continues because it's only going to bring more sort of diversity to things. And as you
Yeah,
said,
I think so. I mean, it's been going well, and it's been a ride for sure, but it's been a struggle also.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, it seems like the band's certainly not in a position of struggling in terms of popularity at the moment. If anything, with
Well, you can always argue with that, but we're doing the best we can.
mm, mm. What are your thoughts on the reception to Nostalgia since that's been out?
I mean, I don't really know how. I mean, it's it's album number six. It's so hard at this point, to make something like to reinvent yourself without staying true to your roots and also taking the genre forward. So
Mm,
that's been challenging, but the reactions from our fans have been great. I could maybe have wished for a little bit more, also good reception from outside our, our outside of our core fans.
mm.
But we'll continue working on that, and we'll continue spread the word through touring. So yeah, no, I think the reception was pretty awesome on that album. I'm really happy with it myself.
Well, you can take it from me from a totally naive perspective. I'm a lot more on the kind of extreme metal end of things, and I don't
Yeah.
actually have much of a sort of a dabbling in a lot of the speed and true metal stuff. But I think Night Flight Orchestra kind of turned me back around Bjorn's side project, and that's kind of got me a bit of a taster. And I heard your album and went back through your Discog, and I'm loving it. So I think there is a broader appeal there within
I I
songwriting.
hope so, and that makes me, when somebody's who's normally not into our type of music compliments me, I take that like as 10 compliments. I'm really happy to appeal to people who are normally not like die hardly into what we're doing.
Mm. And I guess if we're reflecting on the kind of the Swedish scene, is there anyone else that's new or up and coming bands that you might point direct people to that might benefit from also getting some more exposure, you think?
If we're talking about Swedish music only, um, I I like the band Helveted Sport. They're kind of a small thing, but I hope that they put out an album this year, which is called Wasteland Warriors
Hmm.
or something. Warlords is called. I made the album. I mixed the album for them, so I'm perhaps a bit biased, but I think it's a great, great band in so many levels that more
Mm.
people should check out. Another band I really like is a band called Ambush from Sweden that we toured with a bit. They're also more into, the Judas Priest accept style of music, and also a band that I used to play in like a long time ago called Tribulation. They also
Hmm.
put out a new album this year, which is pretty awesome. So those are three bands for you guys to check out from Sweden of our generation if you're into good music.
Awesome. Awesome. And for yourself, tackling both, you mentioned before, just going back to before what you're talking about, having that challenge of trying to sort of sit with your ideals and your values around what constitutes like true heavy metal and pushing it forward. What kind of, in what ways do you feel that you sort of, um, while retaining that balance of that classic heavy metal, what sort of new elements do you feel you've tried to bring into the sound with your songwriting?
Well, if my, I think that's a very good question. First of all, I think that what we do unique is that when what I mean when we're saying that I push the entire genre forward, I take like, I like if our base inspiration are like 70s, 80s bands, like Deep Purple, Iron Maiden, Black Sabbath, stuff like that, and Accept and Judas Priest, for example. But what we do is that we push it in all kinds of direction. I think that we push the speed and aggression so much. It's like we're having songs that are way faster than any of these bands
Mm,
without going all extreme metal or something like that. We push it in that direction. We also like do a lot of epic stuff like uh, like stuff, and we also do like I really like to do like ballads and stuff like
mm,
that. So we keep it on like a way more musical level than just to be a concept band, I think. And in all those kind of direction, I want to push the music, you see, so
mm,
that what you will get when you listen to an album by us, you get like a huge musical experience that ranges from the most tender ballads to the most extreme energetic speed metal stuff. So that's kind of how I want to push it
mm.
without any influence of any modernity.
Mm. And I do get that vibe in listening to the new album, particularly like I kind of there's hints of almost you could say it runs the gamut from Nevermore to Bon Jovi in terms of there's moments of that epic stadium rock feel
Yeah,
to that more
yeah.
sort of
Oh, yeah. If that's your references, then yeah,
yeah.
absolutely.
Mm. And do you feel that it's difficult maybe perhaps for some other bands to stray into that speed metal territory without feeling like they need to um, sort of step into a more of a, say, thrash or extreme metal um,
Well,
kind of sound.
that's hard. I mean, it's for me, it's like doing that. It's all about if I was gonna push it to push a song with speed and aggression, I don't want to do it like with the cliches. I want to play like, for example, I just because I play like for example, how can I say it? You don't have to go all in on the cliches. Just because I play like like bounding thrash metal with some songs, I don't want to do it with a flipped cap and a pizza in my left hand. That's gonna be
Yeah.
cliche. I want to play aggressive music with leather and spikes.
Yeah.
Like the Judas Priest style, but you just push it, push it, push it.
Mm, awesome. So really just trying to retain like that aesthetic, both in the
Not
sound
only about
and
aesthetics, it could be also like lyricals.
yeah.
You don't want to. It's a thin line between being cliche and also being like innovative and true to the style at the same time. It's a balance all the time, I think, and like the decisions I take is the decisions I take, and if you're into that, that's that then you probably like my music. But other people might do other decisions which makes them, according to me, fall on either side. So
Mm.
it's a really really like tight balance, to maintain true to the roots, but also being innovative. Yeah.
Sounds like it's actually a bit more of a juggling act and a bit more of an effort than some people may assume. Like some people may assume it's easy to sort of mine those influences.
Yeah, but
But
the thing I trust is my judgment. That's what I
mm,
always rely to.
mm,
And I guess that's the thing, that's why you listen to Enforcer, because you trust my judgment.
mm. Awesome. It sounds like you're confident in your material and your process then, which is good. It's good.
I'm writing my seventh album. I got to do I've done something right,
You'd
probably.
hope so by now,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. And in terms of transposing that to the live stage, what are some of your sort of thoughts about touring Australia for the first time? What sort of things are you do you have any expectations or kind of
Well,
questions or
I'm super excited to come down to Australia. It feels like the scene in Australia has like exploded the past couple of, like, let's say, past couple of years.
mm,
Looking back 10, 12 years, following bands going to Australia, you could see like even pretty big acts playing small bars. And that's
mm,
also kind of why I never really was interested or to play Australia, or I would like, because I just been feeling that I couldn't do my music justice on those type of places. But now it seems like that the interest for metal has grown a lot in Australia. I see a lot of bands go there doing successful shows and successful tours, and I'm super happy to be a part of that and to be there when the scene in Australia develops.
mm. Are there any bands in particular in Australia that have recently caught your eye or caught your ear that you can think
Like
of?
Australian bands.
Mm.
Well, recently, I mean,
Or
what,
perhaps
what
even in general.
in general, bands from Australia, what can I say? I mean, I like Destroyer 666, but they have been in Australia for like 2 decades or something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Mm.
I really like the music, but and new music. I mean, um, I dig this band Sabire. I don't know how you say it. Um,
How does it spell?
I don't know.
It's all right. Well,
I
I'm
think
sure
that,
you'll get plenty of
yeah,
recommendations when you come over here too, because we do have a bit of it's a bit of a similar situation over here in Australia. There is a strong undercurrent of traditional
yeah,
heavy metal, but it's kind of it's a little more backgrounded. But
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
sure anyone who's a fan who's going to hear this is going to have a playlist a mile long for you.
That's exciting. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm to interact with the scene, that's for sure.
Awesome. Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. Thank you for your time today, Olaf. You've got
Thanks, man.
plenty of a run of interviews. I really appreciate the chat,
Yeah.
and I'll be seeing you play on stage. And in terms of what I can expect and other fans can expect from your performance, in terms of the experience, what if you were to describe it, how would you kind of peg it for the live show
I think
without
that
giving too
that
much?
I think that we do a great live show. I think, we've been doing thousands of shows throughout the year, so we really streamlined our show.
Mm,
It's all about entertainment. You should go away from the show with like a big smile on your face, because I
mm.
think we invest so much into the music. Just comparing us to any other band, which is standing around, you know, even the old bands, the big arena bands, they just stand there these days. But we make a full energetic show. It's like it's like complete hell on earth.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. I think you're going to get some reciprocal hell on earth down in the mosh pit when you come to our shows because people are
Let's see about that.
very
Yeah.
keen to
I'm
catch you
excited.
guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. All
Thanks.
right. Well, excellent. So thank you, Olaf, and we look forward to catching you when you tour in 2025.
Absolutely. See you
Awesome.
there.
Thanks for your time. Thank you, man.
Thank you. Bye.